Hey you guys, what's up? How you doing? I hope you're having a lovely week. I know I owe you a bone broth video, but hear me out. Listen, it's coming. It's still in the editing suite. It's coming. I've decided what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do now. We're gonna get into a little routine because we get up on here and we do talk about baby boy and we do like the crush watch moment and we do like, but I know that you guys are coming to me for advice and guidance and help with like health and nutrition and like all that good stuff because oh, that's not the good side, but it's growing back. It's growing back. Anyway, all this to say, I think I'm going to do those videos when baby boy is in a tournament because I feel like it's for y'all. Like it's for y'all, okay? Like these are the things that I do. And why am I leading with bone broth? Because I actually led with probiotics and magnesium just to, because I have started this book like 5 years ago. I started writing all of this shit. I got sick. I didn't want to write while I was sick because I don't want to be one of those people that is getting up on here and changing their mind every 5 minutes. Like carnivore's the best thing. No, actually vegan's the best thing. Actually, I've decided now that it's best to do vegetarian with red meat every 3 times. Like we're not doing that. Like when I give you guys advice, it's because I know it works. And I'm not backtracking and switching up on y'all. Like this is like 15, 16 years worth of studying, trying, trial and error, all of it. Like all of it. And like magnesium and probiotics will be the first thing that will help you get your gut health in good order. Especially if the probiotic has like, yeah, a lot of different things, but I'm gonna explain that. And I have already explained that, but maybe we need to update it. That how to take probiotics page gets like a lot of traction. I find that really interesting. Like it gets like probably amongst some of the most traction on my website. And yeah, but I don't want my website to be a space for that. Like, yeah. We've got plans and we've got things swirling and we're gonna have a schedule and we're gonna have things match up. I just haven't been able to be consistent because my body's been very inconsistent, right? Like I start at the gym, I get excited, I burn out, and then I'm back to square one. And in Chinese medicine, like if you like dampness and like heat and all that stuff, like if you're sick and you're working out and you're gymming and you're exerting yourself, the illness can actually embed itself even deeper into your constitution. Like it goes deeper into your body, which is why resting is really important. Resting is, I think, the most important thing. Up there. It's up there. It's up there. But that's like all aside, like all of that aside, this bone broth we lead with because it will heal your gut. It will seal your gut. It will heal your gut. And it helps the body absorb nutrients, right? So you have to think of like sometimes like intestinal wall, right? And then there's usually like a mucosal layer on top of that, what we would call our gut lining, that erodes. Like that can erode and that can be left with nothing, which is why it's like some people, and it erodes for multiple different reasons, like travel, stress is the worst one. Travel, stress, all forms of stress, but it's particularly emotional stress, lifestyle, eating things that you're allergic to that you don't realize you're allergic to, all of that. It's just shit, like all of that shit like will erode your gut lining and you can regrow it. It can come back. but you're not going to absorb any of your nutrients if your gut is not in a good position. So even if you're vegan, even if you're vegetarian, I know it sounds crazy, just do the bone broth for 10 days. Just drink it or eat it. Like when you eat it, it's even better. But for 10 days, guys, like that's why we start with that. But I think I'm going to do that kind of content when it seems appropriate. And then, I can get on here and shoot my shit and we can just like kiki and catch up. So yeah, that's going to be the routine. So that video is going to go out next week. And I promise you it will go out next week. And Mercury's in retrograde. A lot of things have been happening. A lot of curveballs have been thrown my way. I handled them. So yeah. Let's talk. Let's catch up. What do I want to broach with you guys today? What should we talk about today? I'm on mid-semester break next week. So that's exciting, but I'll probably try to use a lot of that time for studying. I like my classes. I actually really like all of my professors this year. Yeah, I like my criminal. I like both of them for different reasons. Another thing that I think I could be helpful for on here is like giving law advice, like giving not legal advice, but like law school advice to like the first year students on like, this is what I think is like helpful to get into part 2, because let's be honest, 70% of you bitches are not going to make the cut. So that's just the facts. But yeah, like I just like advice. I think that's what I'm good for, is like advice. And then when I feel a certain somebody out there needs a little bit of like grounding or like emotional whatever, then like, I'll step in and like offer my my expertise or my wisdom, I suppose. My comfort. He's comforting. He comforts me. He comforts me. I don't know why I'm putting on a Mexican accent. Is that Mexican? I don't know. Pero. But, what have I got to say? I mean, school's going good. I like all my professors. I tweeted about this, like my criminal law professor mentioned, we were talking about burdens of proof and standards and burdens of proof yesterday. It was actually an omissions lecture. It was a lecture on omissions, but we were discussing standards and burdens of proof. And, she mentioned, what did she say? It was like, it's like, it's almost like piercings, like where is the line drawn? And when she said piercings, she looked at me and I was like, I mean, there's a lecture theater of like 500 people and she looked at me and I was like, are you a fan of the show? Dr. Dooley, are you a fan of the show? They be like that though over there. They be like that. I mean, I would be. Listen, you gotta put yourself in their position. When you're like a lecturer or whatever, like of course you're looking out to the crowd and like, there are people that are gonna intrigue you. There are people that are like gonna pull you in a little bit. And I think being 36 in a room full of 18 and 19-year-olds, like, you're gonna stand out a little bit. And your professor's probably gonna be like, who are you? What are you doing here? How did you end up here? Like, what's your story? What's your story? Because they've lived incredible lives. Like, my favorite lesson, a part of the lessons is when they get up and they talk about themselves and like their experiences and where they've lived and where they've done their like residences and like where they did their PhD. Like, I love that stuff, and I'm really disappointed because I rush, like, I'm running from this thing to that thing, and like sometimes I get to class late and I miss out on that small introduction. But like, I love that stuff. I love getting to know my professors and like getting to kind of like get the coloring into the background of like who they are and how they got here, and like their passion behind the criminal justice system, or behind, you know, public policy law, or I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's like, of course, if I was to be teaching and I saw a room full of students and there were like a handful that intrigued me, I'm 100% going to look them up. And I'm 100% going to look at their social media. And I'm 100%, you just like, duh, like, of course. Of course. So welcome to the show. I hope I can make you giggle. I hope we can have some laughter. But yeah, when my professor said that, and you know what? She went bright red when she said it too. And I was like, I know that. You're Scottish. I think she's Scottish. And I'm like, my best friend's Scottish. And whenever she's like confronted with something unexpected or she goes for it, she goes bright red. Like, it's just like, that's what Scottish skin does. It goes bright red when it's embarrassed. And I found that so endearing. But I was like, it just doesn't feel like it's relevant. But she was talking about, piercings and how, like, you know, there's a fair amount of consent to it. Like, there's consent to pain. But, and that's like, you know, we can't stop people from doing painful things to other people when they are sort of like justified or whatever. But like, you can't inflict pain. You can't self-inflict pain. Like, there's a line drawn, basically, is what she was saying. Is like, yes, piercings are okay and tattoos okay. That's a form of physical bodily pain that is acceptable. But being able to then, like at what point of self-harm or sort of like consensual violence is permitted before the state steps in and intervenes and says, like, no, like, this is a hard line that we're going to draw, where it's like, yes, you have freedom or autonomy to do what you want with your body, but you cannot chop off your penis and feed it to another man. Like, there's a line. And there's like actually a story, there's a law case about that, which is why I'm mentioning it, because that's where the line is drawn. You cannot advertise to be cannibalized and then, do you know what I mean? And then expect the state or the sort of the state to come in and like intervene. But yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know, I could go on and on and on about all of my classes, and that's a good thing because it shows like, okay, I love it. I enjoy what I do. But I know I'm gonna try to keep this video for like 20 minutes because I know you guys are busy and you got a lot going on. But I want to talk very quickly about arrogance. Is that a coffee stain right on my nipple? We got just all kind of decor in here, don't we? We're all kind of decor. Oh, I know he liked that. I know he loved that, bitch. I know that man. I know that man. I know how that man think. I know the Taurus man, all right? I know the Taurus man. They like that possessiveness. A little bit. Not too much. Not too much, but they like it a little bit. Anyway, put that away. Arrogance. Everyone's been calling baby boy arrogant because I guess he has a lot of confidence these days or whatever. I want to tell you guys what real arrogance is, okay? Like, I had an experience a couple of weeks ago where I would say that person acted in a way that was very arrogant. So we're sitting there in class, right? So my legal skills class. Love my teacher. Allison, shout out to Ellie. Ellie, I just adore my professor. I'm a professor teacher. She's a teacher. I don't know, I guess professor, but she just tells us to call her Ellie. Her name's Allison. She's kind of a badass. She has a very good legal mind, but she's quite, you can tell she's quite a nervous person. And interpersonal interactions, like when we first started classes, she couldn't talk and keep her eyes open because I think she was just so nervous, which is endearing. Or it's just like the way that she is, I don't know. Maybe she wasn't nervous, it's just the way she communicates. Now she's talking to the class and she's opening her eyes and she's speaking to everybody, but her legal mind is very, 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 very sharp. She's been in it for a long time. She's a good woman. And our professors are watching us, guys. Like, they are watching you. When they say, I want you guys to turn to the person next to you and have a conversation about it, they are looking to see if you are trying to engage with people. They are looking to see who is contributing to the conversation, who is leading the conversation. They're watching. They're not just sitting there like chopped liver. They're watching everything you're doing. So when they say, like, turn to the person next to you and discuss, like, try to do it, but even if you feel like a dick, because, like, you just, like, like, it shows that you care, and it shows that you are willing to engage with the material with a stranger. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, there's some kind of test behind it. I know there's a test behind it. I know there's a test. I know it's a test, okay? So we're in groups, and in legal class, right, we'll split into like 3 tables. Okay, so these 3 tables are going to be the prosecution. These 3 tables are going to be the defense. And you need to come up with reasons why they're right, reasons why they're wrong. You need to assert your argument, right? So you're at an advantage if you are chosen first out of the 3 groups, because it's the low-hanging fruit. And then, like, the other people, the other groups have to kind of come up with things. They might not have anything. And that also is a part of the test, is like to say, like, no, like, I think everything's covered by, like, the 3rd table, right? Like, unless you can come up something really creative to kind of, like, rebut. But we go backwards and forwards, and it is combative. It is combative, and we do get into it, and it's fun, because this is the whole craft, is like you're crafting an argument, and then you're coming up with methodology. So you're learning through the process, right? But yeah, so I sit with the table with the brown girls. It's like me, my Tongan girl, Lucia, and then, like, a couple of others that I adore. You know, we got some South Asians in there. We got some, another brown girl. Like, we're the brown girl table is what I call it. And we sit together, and, like, one time last week, talking about arrogance, a guy sat at our table. This was a guy that had never sat at our table before. And we were like, okay, cool, like, whatever, like, we're not unwelcoming here, like, we're inclusive. So he sits at the table, and, like, you know, we get their problem question, and then we're like, I can't even remember, I think we're the defense in this one. So you can tell I'm already getting angry. I'm, like, already sighing, like. So we get the problem question, and we're discussing it as a group, like, all 4 of us, and there's, like, 5th person here, and I'm not an asshole, I'm a nice guy. So I'm talking as a group, like, when we're coming up with ideas and we're writing down our arguments, and then I turn to him and I'm like, do you have any thoughts? Do you have anything? And he's writing, he looks up and he smiles, like, oh, you know, this and that. This and that. Baby, this is group work. We're supposed to share with the group what we think. And that's like, okay, like, that was strike 1 for me. Like, that's strike 1. And then we obviously stop deliberating, and then we, like, get back to class, and Allison's like, all right, you know, this table, blah, blah, blah. Okay, your table, and we're first. So I'm thinking, yes, low-hanging fruit, let's go for it, guys. Like, we got this. This is a typical statutory interpretation question, so we've got to look at the internal context first, and there's a hierarchy of the internal context before we look at the external context of the proposed approach. Whatever, like, that's, like, all legal jargon for saying we know what the fuck we're doing. So I turn to the group, and, like, she's like, you guys want to answer? And me, being a nice guy that works on consensus, homeboy's sitting over here, and I turn to the girls, and it's one of those, like, oh, do you want to talk? Or you got this? And as I'm, like, figuring out who's going to talk on behalf of the table, homeboy starts to answer the question without consulting us. And he's like, oh, you know, you could say that the legislation, like, the purpose of the legislation wasn't to do blah, 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 blah. The purpose of the legislation was to blah, 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 blah. got the answer wrong. As soon as he said purposive, I was like, you got the answer wrong. Like, you're wrong. First of all, you did the this and that, so you thought you were better than us. You were arrogant. Second of all, you spoke on behalf of the group without permission. You spoke out of turn. And thirdly, you answered the question fucking wrong. And you made us all look dumb. And I know when he answered that question, like, oh, the purpose of the legislation was blah, 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 I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Because, like, that's an external context. And, like that's, like, we're not, this is that terp, babe. Like, we got to look at the internal, like, it's a very, like, pretty rudimentary. And I know that mistake because I made that mistake. I made that mistake at my statutory interpretation classes all the time. I would go straight to the purposive approach. But it was always wrong. So that's how I knew the answer was wrong, because I was always making that mistake. But I was like, bro, if you had shared with us your opinion, I could have told you, like, okay, that's an external context question, like external context answer. We actually need to look at the internal context first. But you thought you knew it all. You thought you knew it all. And Allison, when she got that answer, Allison very rarely says no. She rarely says no. She's a very good teacher. She knows to be like, oh, I haven't thought of that. Or interesting perspective, but that's not what I was thinking of. That's how you kind of encourage conversation in classes. And I could see she didn't do that this time. She didn't do that this time. She was like, actually, no, we wouldn't start with that. And I was like, whoa, like, and that's when I clicked to my brain. I was like, oh, she knew that she's like teaching him a lesson. That, like, she watched our group deliberate and saw him not contributing at all, and then speaking on, like, she knew exactly what had happened and what had gone down, and she kind of clocked it real quick. But I just remember thinking, like, just like, that's arrogance. That is textbook arrogance. And then I stopped and I was like, thinking of the legal mind, what's the set criteria that is needed for something to qualify as arrogance? Because there's a fine line. There's a fine line between, like, confidence and arrogance, right? And then I think cockiness sits, like, in between, like, right in the middle. And I find cockiness really hot. I actually find toxic masculinity really hot. And, like, I'm sorry, I do. Objectify me, like, please. Anyway, this is just a separate conversation. That's arrogance. The set criteria of arrogance, number one, insecurity. That's, like, the first thing I think of with arrogance is, like, you're insecure. It's rooted, and, like, we're all insecure. We all have insecurities, but arrogance is rooted in, it's a deeply rooted insecurity. You know how I said sometimes you can work out too hard and it gets deeply embedded? Like, that insecurity has, like, deeply embedded. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's manifesting itself in this behavior that is, I think I'm better than everyone. So it's like, it's rooted in, like, deep insecurity. And there's an element of, I think I'm better than you. And not only do I think I'm better than you, I think I'm better than everyone. Yeah. That's, I think, like, the second criteria. And I think the third is, like, a real lack of humility. Like, you're not humble, you're not teachable. And I know that that is true because homeboy left in the middle of class. And not only that, he got up, because it's a 2-hour class. I actually have it later today. He, like, in the 1 hour break, like 1 hour, in the 10-minute break, he gets up and goes to Allison and says, like, oh, I've got to go. I've got a doctor's appointment, blah, 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 blah. And Allison has no time for bullshit. She calls it correctly. She's like, guys, everyone, I just want to make an announcement. You don't have to be here if you don't want to be here. We don't take roll. We don't take attendance. This is purely optional. If you want to be here, you're going to be here. If you don't want to be here, you can go. You don't have to come up to me and tell me that you're, like, Allison! I was like, she is, bro, she got that razor sharp mind where, like, she clowning you now. Like, she clowning you in front of the class. Oh, I love it. I love my professors because they're smarter than you. They are, like, you don't understand the frequency that these people's brains are operating on. Like, these people are geniuses, like, and they teach us. What they really want to be doing most of the time is research. But they're teaching us, right? And They have humility while they do so. If our professors were arrogant, we wouldn't be learning much from them, right? You have to have an element of humility. So when people online call baby boy arrogant, I'm like, okay, he does not have any deeply rooted insecurities that I can see. You know, he doesn't think that he's better than anyone. And if he does, it's limited to a court. It's limited to his sport, right? Like, you get on that court and you think you're better than your opponent because you have to in order to win. But it stays in the arena, bro. It's not bleeding into his every other day life. So that's number 2. And number 3, like, what was the third criteria? Insecurity. You think you're better than everybody. Oh, lack of humility. He's humble as fuck. He's so humble. He's really humble, you know? And then I'm sure in those private moments, he's a little bit cocky. But I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. I love that. I love that. And I encourage that. And that's like, yeah, that builds self-esteem, you know? So yeah, if we're gonna call people things, let us have like clear cut. Like if you look at the law, and that goes back to what I was saying, like statutory interpretation, like homeboy, like what he got wrong was like, yeah. The first step is you look at the text. You look at the text and you define the words. Look at the text, look at the text, look at the text. I can hear my cunty Swiss professor, Christian, last year in statutory interpretation, a 131 class with his fucking Louis Vuitton umbrella and his Louis Vuitton briefcase. And sometimes the next day it'd be Gucci. Like, he had designer. And he was like, I felt so sorry for him sometimes because like, how you're stuck teaching statutory interpretation. Like, my God, that must be so boring. But he made it fun. Because he was like Swiss and French and he had that accent and he like, I suppose it's true. Yes, it's true. It's true. Like, but that was, yeah, that was like, I remember all my professors so vividly, but like those were the classes from last year that are important to this year. Anyway, look at the text. Look at the text. Look at the word arrogant. Look at arrogant and define arrogant. And then come to me and see if they meet the criteria of arrogance. That's how the law works, is you look at the text. You look at the text, you look at the word. What does that word mean? Like, and then once you've exhausted the internal context, then you look at the external context, the why. What was the purpose? What were some of the speeches surrounding the legislation? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm going in several different tangents and I'm trying to like embed my law school lessons with my crush watch here. You know, did it work? Did it work? I don't know. What we're going to even call this video, I don't know. I said it was going to be 20 minutes and now it's 30. Here we are. I hope you're not bored. Let me just apply some sunscreen while I round off. I have a lot of plans. Don't worry. Don't worry about me. I got plans. I got things that I want to accomplish and things that I want to do. And like, I think I want to keep my online website kind of sexy. Like, I want aminifanua.com to be sexy. And then like maybe some of like the things that I write that help people with their health and nutrition will be like tied to my place of work, Meridian Health, right? So like, I'm trying to find all of these places for these different iterations of my existence to be, because they're not all congruent with each other. They are all kind of different, right? I don't know. I'm not worried, so I don't think you should be, is all I'm saying. There's a plan. Yeah. There's a plan. Don't worry. There's a plan. Love you guys. Have a good rest of your week. And stay kind to yourself and to others. I love you. And, you know, stay on that upper, higher level of consciousness. Stay on that upper frequency. Yeah. If you're feeling insecure and you don't know something, ask. Ask. You look really stupid if you assume. If you don't know, ask. Let's not be arrogant. Let's have humility. All right, I'm not gonna edit this. I'm just gonna throw it up. I love you guys. Ugh. I just want to like pour more goodness into you, but I know you got to go about your day. So I'll let you go about your day. And I'll go about mine.